Well, hello there, Commonwealth. This is Great Grandpa Gamer. We're at Sunshine Tidings. We're working on the second to the last cottage of this batch. This cottage has a few things in it we want to try to keep. Some of the conventional items can be stored, but that sink's going to stay. That desk definitely has to stay. That cabinet's going to stay because of the med box. Yep. And one more thing I forgot, that wheelchair, definitely stay. And while we're at it, let's build a security wall around the back and incorporate that little outhouse. So friends, we got some cool stuff for you today. Not only are we going to upscale that cottage, we're going to do some really cool things with Conduit. One of the things we're going to do is extremely practical railing. I think you might like it. It's a good way to add some differences to your constructions. The second thing is we're going to do something insane. Yeah, it's Great Grandpa Gamer. Insane is coming. I tried several ways to install the floor in there. This is installing the entire floor with a pillar glitch. Notice how in some places the new floor shows up, some places the old. One of those items, the sink, the wheelchair, the cabinet, or the desk, stopped us from going all the way up. I think I could have gotten a pristine clean floor if I'd have removed those items, but I didn't want to. All right, we're going to prepare for a shiller drop. A shiller is a post with a shelf on it. A pillar rack is related. It's a post with a gun rack on it. I use both of them interchangeably. Now, if I place a sandbag wall on top of a carpet, and then lay this carpet on top of my shiller or pillar rack, whichever one it is, notice there's a little rug on it. I can precisely line this up when I have it where I want it. Just delete the rug that's holding up the sandbag wall, and everything falls into place. On inside for a good vantage point. That works. Kind of looks like a rock wall, doesn't it? Large river stones. I like that. So there's some gaps in there. I didn't get it tight. We're going to use the rug glitch, double rugs, because the first rug would be colliding with the sandbag wall. A second rug is much further away. Therefore, no collisions. It's working. That's why I use two rugs sometimes. We're also going to build a custom wall right here. A small one. Yeah, we're going to use our custom wall to repair the column of the patio. Look at that. I'll just use the floor to raise up that railing up to the other one. You could do that, rinse and repeat, have yourself a wall in no time. I'll move it in using a plant. The plant is actually, just a decor item, but it kind of alters the collision of the item that it is group selecting. Here's Great Grandpa Gamer's pillar trick. I can get a feel for exactly how difficult it is by seeing just how quickly we knock this out. I have to remove everything on top because it's hard to snap beneath, and some of that stuff is still up there. Carried on into the ground. Most of that was real time. It just took a few moments. Let's try to use that sink. And I have a crazy notion to put a water pump in there. It is crazy. It really is. But I think it'll work out. Just rug glitch it in. We'll stand inside the cottage and have the pillar on the outside of the cottage till we get that rug in the right place. Now you notice I have a couple of working rugs, and I'm not going to remove those. I'm going to have to disguise them. That's okay. I got that water pump exactly where I wanted it. The hardest part of this build is now over, friends. We got it made in... Is that rain? Is it raining through the roof? Friends, the hardest part of this build is coming right up. I can't believe it's raining in here. Boy, I'll tell you what, that let the air out of my balloon. And I forgot to put glass inside the windows. That's all right. We needed one with boarded up windows. Okay, so I had a nightmare trying to cover the entire roof. I usually have great success with the scaffolds, but there was huge gaps. No matter what I did, there were huge gaps between the roof and the scaffold. I could not get it down tight. I decided to go for a hybrid. And as I was building the scaffold down, you got to make sense of it, I cried uncle. There was some stuff I just couldn't do. Finally, I gave up and used that Nuka-Cola red and white checked floor that seems to snap anywhere on earth. Yeah, that was me crying uncle. At least it's there for us to use it, right? Okay, a few scaffolds to support the roof, and since some of the scaffolds were not touching the roof, we'll just install a few raider poles using a chiller drop. Once again, remove the carpet. The raider post fell neatly down. Alright, let's build a rail for the top of the roof. These are just conduits and they're all lined up neatly. It relies on me having an anchor conduit, a spacer conduit, and of course the pieces I'm going to use. The anchor is already floating in air. I'll just build a level right here. Matches the level up above. I'll remove the spacer conduit. Now we can lower the rest of our railing on down. It'll be as close to the same gap as the other ones. Once that's done, we can raise the whole thing again and add another layer. When you move something like this, pick the lowest conduit. If you're going to place it flat on the lower surface, it's going to say flat on the ground, but we're up on a scaffold here. But there it is. There's our railing. A few posts make it look realistic. And of course, we can pile things onto the scaffold flooring and then move the flooring into place. You could do that with any flooring. All right, we did reasonable conduit build. Let's do crazy. Recently, I built something that looked like DNA out of conduit. I'm going to show you how to do it because that pattern can translate into many different art forms. So I have 3 pieces of conduit, 2 on the end, 1 in the center. The center one I pivot, and I start on a flat surface because every time I pivot that center, I don't want it changing elevation. I want to stay the same elevation the entire time. And I just made a compass point, half of one. And that's enough to do a complete circle, by the way. All right, but now since I'm going to have to raise my construction off the ground, I added some extra pieces of conduit so I can move the whole thing to a levelish piece of ground. 2 hours later, I found a levelish piece of ground. All right, we'll get rid of the pieces that help me transport this. So there we are. We have one in the center, and I placed one tick over just for a marker. Now watch what happens. This is the second piece of conduit on the ground. I'll lower my shiller. It's close to the first piece. I'll raise my shiller. And now we're going to extend the second piece toward the center. Spacer. The piece I'm going to move the spacer to the next tick. Bring it on down. So this is going to create an interesting pattern. We're going to do this over and over again. It goes pretty quick after a while, but you can see a curve start to form. And friends, once you build the inside structure that looks like DNA, you can attach things all over it and end up like something out of a sci-fi movie. Let's see what we did. Well, our buddy Mr. Rags is having his morning coffee. Mr. Rags sells clothing. Yeah, very appropriately named as well. So yeah, he set up out front. And that is levitating mutant armor. It is off the ground. I'll find something to do with that a little bit later. So all that extra construction I had to do to get that roof to work, and I mean work, like with a shoehorn, forced it to work, made this cottage super interesting. And by the way, we kind of built our security wall around the back. We're going to enclose the entire settlement that way. Let's head up these stairs and see what we got. Yeah, heck, I didn't have a theme. This is my decorating. I threw junk anywhere I could find, including the display cabinet. TV area, varied seating, got the rail in the back. Let's go on inside. I could use a little bit more light in this front area. Yeah, it's a cloudy day, so it seems pretty dark in here. Same thing with this interior, but you know, I was going for the candlelight effect most of all. Most of this light is candlelight or from the glowing posters, which don't give much light at all. Yeah, here's our restroom. Built with a custom wall. Put some of those foot lockers on the side to cover up the rugs that were in the way. There we are. Let's take a quick glance at night. There's part of that junk wall. And here's the front of our cottage. Soft glow on our architectural feature. And that's what we have time for. Friends, I hope you enjoy this one. It's certainly a challenge, but I like how it turned out. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye now.